Hey guys, Steve Welch here with your fact of the day. Got an interesting one to just have a conversation with you guys about. You're probably looking at the thumbnail going, it's an electric car and a compact fluorescent bulb, and how, what could those have to do with each other, right? Okay, they're both electric, but that doesn't make any sense, right? But it does. So follow me here. Um, Basically, you've got all these companies out there that are making electric cars, right? And everybody wants one, right? And, well, a year, 2 years ago, that kind of seemed like the truth, but basically what it was that the people that wanted them, there just weren't enough for those people, and now those people have them, so nobody else wants them. That's kind of what's been going on, right? So you had Ford recently came out and said for every electric car they sell, they lose $40,000. $40,000. That's a lot. And keep in mind, there's subsidies and stuff like that on them, that tax breaks, things along those lines that are supposed to help people to buy them. And realistically, people are just the ones that wanted them bought them. That's really where we're at, right? So back to the thumbnail and back to what I was talking about. So if we go back several years, right, we all had incandescent light bulbs in our houses, right? The ones that if you touched them, you burn your hand, kind of thing. The ones that were developed 100 years ago and had really not changed a whole lot since they've been developed, right? Kind of one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of things, right? So they are not the most efficient, right? The incandescents are not the most efficient bulbs. They're, like I said, they have heat to them and stuff like that. And most of the energy that gets expelled in the bulbs aren't actually in light, it's in heat, right? So that being said, the powers that be, of course, came out and had a really great idea and said, let's ban it, right? Let's make it where you can't buy it. And usually what happens at that point, people go, well, what are you going to replace it with? Well, the most common response from those people is, well, they'll figure it out. Somebody will figure it out. All we've got to do is make this where you can't buy it, and then somebody will figure it out. All right? And that's kind of where things went, right? So when you go back to that light bulb, you've got, they came up with this curly Q bulb that you see on there, that compact fluorescent bulb. This is it. This is what we're going to push everybody to go to. Why? More efficient. It's it looks all nice and fancy, whatever, and it's a more efficient bulb. So that's our choice. Let's push everybody to that. And they push their swings out and everything, and then they realize, well, there's mercury in those. So if you break one, you need to have a hazmat crew come in and clean it up, right? You can't just like vacuum up this stuff. I mean, it's toxic. So that's not good. But that's okay. Still buy them, right? Still better for the environment, all that, right? And then people are like, well, I don't really like the light that comes off of them. So you had all these people scrambling to get the old bulb. And it wasn't that the old, that they just, were comfortable with the old bulb. It's that the old bulb was a better bulb. So that's, it used less energy, but, better light. People liked them better. They, you want to read, and people were reading, and, a lot of people are like, man, I get a headache next to the compact fluorescent because it's just, I just can't do it for that. So what ended up happening is they had tried to push everybody to these CFLs, and then the market, which is what they originally had said, right? The market came up with LEDs. LEDs created a better light on a better bulb, used less energy, weren't toxic. I mean, they lasted longer. Everybody's talking about CFLs will last for 5 years. Nothing. I had some CFLs. They lasted less time than the incandescents. They did not last any longer, right? So the LEDs, I mean, my whole house is LED now, right? And it's not because of a mandate. It's because it was a better bulb than what otherwise was available, right? It was a better bulb with better light, and it saved me energy at the same time. That's why, right? Now let's go back to the electric cars. So if we go back to the electric cars, then what you're looking at with those, they pushed out all these. This is the alternative, right? We're going to push out electric cars, do it now. Well, the infrastructure is still not there for electric cars. There's not enough chargers. Everybody's always talking about how the chargers, half the ones they go to aren't working. They seem to break down a lot. There's just not a lot of places you can charge. It's just they made this push, and I think California said by like 2035 you got to have like 30% of the cars sold or whatever be electric. This, that, the other thing. I think we're a little early on that, and I think that a lot of people think the same thing. So kind of here's how I'm going to put the two together between the bulbs and the cars. So what I think is going to happen is the exact same thing that happened to the compact fluorescent bulbs. So powers that be got this great idea and said, that's where we're going, electric cars. We're going to push this. This is where we're going. This is what we're doing. Well, all the auto manufacturers, especially the ones that have received money from them, went, let's do it, right? And they've lost billions. They've lost billions of dollars on these, right? So what's likely going to happen is the one that didn't, Toyota, is coming up with something else. And I've got a little sneak peek into what it is, because if you look at some of the articles and stuff, they're already running it overseas. So they like to race new concepts. So if you look like some of the stuff they've done overseas, and then they've got, with the Mirai already out in California, they are likely going to come out with, and there's pictures of them, so but they are likely going to come out with a hydrogen internal combustion engine, which isn't that hard of a jump from where you're at, right? So what a lot of people are like, well, yeah, but there's no spots to fill up hydrogen. There are, but they're few and far between. Let's put it that way. So what I expect Toyota to do is to partner with truck stops, to partner with these places that are already out there. Because if you can pull up to a truck stop and you go regular, mid-grade, premium, or hydrogen, and you could just hook your car up to the hydrogen pump, fill it up, get 1,000 miles on a tank of gas, it wouldn't be any different for you. It fills up the same speed. You go to the same gas station. All that stuff. If it's not any different for you, you're more likely to do it, right? So if we want to push somebody to something alternative, that's probably the way to get there, right? So there's no range anxiety, anything like that, because if you have hydrogen at every gas station, or maybe not every gas station has diesel, right? So like, let's say that every gas station that had diesel had hydrogen. Are you worried about buying a hydrogen car? Hydrogen's the most abundant element on Earth. I want to be worried about that, right? And if you've got a tank that'll get you 1,000 miles on a tank, well, a lot of people go, well, yeah, it's going to get me further than a regular tank of gas. It takes me the same amount of time to fill up. Yeah, I'll do that. As long as the price point's in line, as long as hydrogen isn't, 20 times the cost to fill up, which shouldn't be, right? So I foresee the push to the electric vehicles to be just like the push to the compact fluorescent bulbs, right? And what's going to happen is all of these automakers that have sunk so much money into their push to the electric car are going to lose it all. And some of them might go out of business. So, it like I said, Toyota will come out with this engine. They will be light years ahead of everybody else. And everybody will start clamoring and going, well, there's no spots to fill it up. Watch them within the first 6 months have some spot to fill it up every 50 or 60 miles. Right? And if that's the case, Katie bar the door, right? It's done, because there will be so many more people that will go that route than, and your only byproduct out of the tailpipe's water, right? So many more people will go that route. And then here's the other thing. So you don't have to worry about all these third world countries that are mining these battery products that are so horrible for the environment. that are you've seen the pictures. I mean, most of us seen the pictures, but they're mining them with diesel equipment. There was a recent stat I saw that said that for an electric car to kind of break even on the carbon footprint of what a internal combustion engine would do, you have to drive that thing and own it for over 100,000 miles. But I don't think your average EV owner is doing that. And then here's the other thing. At 100,000 miles, what's your efficiency? You're not getting the same miles on that battery at 100,000 miles. So, and then there's problems recycling the batteries. So, yeah, if you want to be greener, hydrogen's the way to be greener. So, I would not be shocked. And that's kind of the premise of this video. Do I have, here's the other thing I'll put down there too so that nobody gets mad at me. Do I have some kind of inside information that says this is definitely coming and this is what Toyota's going to do? No. I've seen several articles. I know one thing when it comes to Toyota, and it's that they never want to be first on something like the EVs or stuff like that. They don't jump into a bandwagon. They are not somebody that just goes along to get along, but they are, and then they are also the most prepped to be able to come out with something like this. So logically, that's where it seems like Toyota should go, and then that's where it seems like they will go, and that's, all that stuff is true. So do I know more than anybody else? Not when it comes to that, other than what I've researched on it, but I don't have an inside from Toyota that says this is what's coming. All right? I don't. I'm 100% do not have that insight. But man, it makes all kinds of sense, right? And like I said, it's going to go the way. How many compact fluorescent bulbs do you have in your house? I don't have any. I did have some. I remember I bought a 3-pack when they first came out and said, all right, let's see what these things look like. I bought a 3-pack. They were overly expensive. They're a lot more expensive than incandescents. And I put them in there, and I didn't like them. I didn't like the light. I didn't like all the same stuff that people complained about. I didn't like them at all. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll put them, and I think I put them in my laundry room. So I put them off to the side in a room that I didn't use that much, right? So there was no benefit from having those at all. And I actually got excited when they burned out because I could get rid of them. But then you had to take them and go recycle them because you can't just throw them away. They're toxic. So you had to take them to Lowe's, and you had to have them in a Ziploc bag in case they broke. And then you had to put them in that little box at Lowe's. And yeah, I did all that. I took one that was burned out, 2 that weren't, took them all to Lowe's. I threw away the ones that weren't even burned out. I didn't like them, right? But that's also when I could and did change them to the LED bulbs. So there's your answer, guys. So hydrogen's going to be it. Toyota's going to do it. And as soon as they do it, they're probably going to put everybody out of business. It could, whatever it is. But they're going to make all these other manufacturers play catch up, and they're not going to have the cash to do it, and they're not going to have the resources to do it. And they put so much in to the electric side of it that they're going to sink themselves. And then, and here's the other thing too. So what's the other thing about electric? So you've got all these subsidies, right? Where they're trying to pay people to buy electric cars. If everybody wanted them, I'm going to pay people to buy them, right? But here's the other part. So what they did with a lot of those little subsidies is $7,500 buy an electric car. And what they do, manufacturers raise the price by $7,500. All that did was put more money in the pockets of them. But it is what it is. I'm not trying to advocate for anything over something else. I'm just kind of seeing what's coming, and I'm wondering. I'm kind of wondering if it's not something like that. Now, I could be completely wrong. and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I could be completely wrong. Electric could be the wave of the future. They've got, what, $7 billion or something like that to build charging stations that are supposed to be doled out. They've got, a lot of people that are very heavily invested in Tulsa, like Teslas and stuff like that, and they're very heavily invested in the electric car market. And I'm sure they'll find a way to recycle the batteries. I'm sure of all that stuff. There's too many electric cars out there not to find a way for that. And I'm sure that there are going to be pieces of that out there. I just don't think it's going to be where everybody owns an electric car by 2035. Like everybody's, like a lot of these news people are saying in that. I don't think it's going to be where everybody owns one by 2035. I think we're going to keep it all of the above kind of thing. And I think when, somebody like Toyota comes out with this hydrogen concept, and like I said, I from things that I've read, I think it's coming. But I have no inside information to say it is. But the things that I've read and articles I've seen in that, I think it's coming. But, you'll have regular gas cars, you'll have electric cars, you'll have hydrogen cars, and who knows, you might have something else too. I mean, obviously you got diesel too, but you might have something else in there too that comes in, and everybody, uses their piece, and then together we all use less. I think that's going to kind of be the concept going forward and the way to really win. But you guys tell me what you guys think. But that is my fact of the day. I think that electric cars are going to stumble. And I think they already have stumbled. And I think that we're not going to push far forward in electric. And the grids can't handle it either, not yet. Somebody said not too long ago, by the way, that in order for everybody to own an electric car, you'd have to double the power grid. And keep in mind, the vast majority of the power grid is coal-fired. So you're actually burning coal to put electricity into the cars. So that's the other thing to kind of figure out too. So you'd still be much cleaner to go with hydrogen than what you would be to go with electric. And people think electric, they say zero emission. There's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as zero emission. You're still burning coal to actually make the electric car, or to power the electric car. It's just not burned here. It's burned somewhere else. And then you get the power from that. So it's just less pollution here, which actually makes sense for a place like California, right? Because they need to limit the amount of pollution there. If it's coming out of the tailpipe there, it's staying there, right? And, realistically, the idea of the electric car where you can have the pollution somewhere else and then they just plug in their car there, that actually makes sense for them. So I understand that. That's not saying that's totally a negative, but it is part of it, right? I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. Steve Welch here with your fact of the day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.